Hey everybody, Derek here for the weekly news recap. A little bit early this week because somebody had the gall to invite me to lunch, so we're gonna have to do this one a little bit earlier. Um, so it's gonna be a very early, very sleepy weekly news recap. So we'll get into it. It's actually a fairly quiet week this week, but what we have is some news about the PSVR 2. I know this is a section of pretty much only for me. But Sony announced a bunch of new games that are going to be part of the launch lineup for PSVR 2. So we'll go through them really quickly. Dark Pictures Switchback is essentially, if you may remember, Rush of Blood. Until Dawn Rush of Blood, which was part of the PSVR, the original one, was part of that launch lineup. It was essentially a on-rails shooter. You are on a minecart roller coaster kind of thing. You've got twin dual-wielding shotguns or different type of guns. And it used assets from Until Dawn to do like a spooky, scary roller coaster ride. This time it's the Dark Pictures version of it. It's again using assets from the Dark Pictures games up until now. So the first four. Presumably the first four. Actually, they didn't show any assets from the fourth game, but I would assume the fourth game is going to be used in there as well. And it'll be a similar deal to Rush of Blood. Rush of Blood was really good. It was pretty scary, actually. And I imagine Switchback will be much the same. It's all like jump scares and in your face kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a fun ride. No pun intended. Crossfire Sierra Squad is a first person tactical shooter type thing. Reasonably certain it's a multiplayer thing. I don't know. My eyes kind of glazed over when I just looked at it, so no particular interest. The Light Brigade is also a first-person shooter type, but it's like a roguelike. You have a certain amount of magic ability as well as gunplay and that kind of thing. It's a bit like fantasy-leaning. Again, it was a little boring. Cities VR is essentially SimCity in VR. So you are the overlord of your city, placing down buildings in like a fully 3D environment. So it's like playing with toys. Kind of. It's like picking up things and boom, plonking them down. Or like mapping out the area with your mouse or dual sense. It's not called dual sense, it's called something else. I forget what they're calling the controller. But it's that kind of thing. Yeah, cool. Again, it's hard to describe how VR feels. Particularly for these kind of games where you're kind of looking down, the isometric kind of thing. It's very different. It's very different to seeing something on the screen versus you actually being there and being near the items, being able to like get down and like look at the items and stuff like that. It's different. It's hard to explain unless you've actually done it. Cosmonius High is a first-person quirky puzzly type thing. You're an alien that is attending high school. And you engage in all sorts of kind of fun and colorful puzzles and stuff like that. It's a very friendly kind of game, we'll put it that way. Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue is, if you remember the Hello Neighbor games, it was essentially you trying to annoy your neighbor by breaking and entering and snooping about his house and then discovering, hey, maybe he's not such a nice guy, etc. So it's like, what if Flanders was actually secretly a serial killer kind of thing. Jurassic World Aftermath Collection, I don't know what that is. I think it's like an escape room type thing. Survival adventure game. Okay, I don't know. I didn't look up the trailer for that one. Pistol Whip is a first-person shooter rhythm game, so certain things like Metal Hellsinger that's been out recently, or BPM, where you have to shoot in time with the music and stuff like that. Pistol Whip VR is that, but in VR and like cyberpunk, so it's a bit more electronic music, that kind of stuff. So you're not going to be getting like heavy rock music in that. And then Zenith is a MMO. It's like an anime MMO. So it's like Genshin Impact in first person, but you can also see other players bombing about the place and whatever. It's if it was by itself and not a VR game, it would be pretty basic. But because it's in VR, everything is different because you can actually swing the sword around. You can actually fly around as your character. Doing all that in first person. Again, presence in VR is a very hard thing to describe. It really is something you need to check out for yourself. After the Fall is Left 4 Dead, basically. It's a 4-player co-op, PvP, not PvP, PvE kind of thing. Zombies, mutated creatures and what have you, but it's in a snowy landscape, but it's still like the 4-player, different characters have different abilities kind of thing. Tentacular is a puzzle 'em up kind of thing. You are this giant tentacle monster. I've seen enough hentai, etc. Only not that, because it's like family friendly kind of thing. And you're like, trying to help out this village that you have decided to befriend, but you're a giant tentacle monster and things go wrong because wonky physics and stuff like that. It's fun. That didn't seem like 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe it was 9, 10. Okay, it was 11, right? Fair enough. Alright, so that wasn't the only news from PSVR 2, however. There's like a little worse news, to be honest. The price. PlayStation VR 2 launches in February at $550. Mother of God. Okay, that's a lot of money. Holy shit. PlayStation VR 2 is officially launching on February 22nd, 2023. So mark that date in your calendar, I guess, for all you people who want to play that. Hey Melwan, how's it going? Happy Sunday to you. $550. Now, that's a lot of money. It got me by surprise. Yeah, we're doing this one a bit early because some thoughtless person has decided they want to have lunch with me, so we have to do this earlier today. So there's a couple of different bundles. The PlayStation VR 2, just by itself, no additional extras and whatever, is $550, €600 exchange rate, or 530 pounds, or 74,980 yen. That seems wrong as well, but whatever. Recommended ORP, including tax for these guys. Tax is not that much money, but okay. Anyway, includes the headset, the sense controllers, that's what they're calling them, and headphones. And then there's the bundle where all of that plus Horizon Call of the Mountain. Or you can get this Cradle thing, which is apparently the charger for the sense controllers. Pre-orders for PlayStation VR 2 are solely through the PlayStation's online store, so not through retailers, not through Amazon, not through GameStop, etc., which is pissing off a lot of retailers. On the other hand, it's a lot of money, so they may not have wanted to insurance for all of that stock and whatever, so maybe it's best that PlayStation handles it. That is only for US, UK, France, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, so Ireland is not mentioned. On the other hand, we are often lumped into the UK region, so it's entirely possible there, but we don't know. It's also not the entirety of the EU, so like Spain, Italy, Portugal, etc. not part of that, and Japan again, so they might be able to do retail, or maybe they're just not being included. And the rest of this article just goes into telling you why the PlayStation VR 2 is amazing and what have you. So let's have a look at that price. $549 in euro is apparently 600. Okay. What about pound sterling? That's not 530. How much is tax? That's insane. It must be an insane percentage of tax. Anyway, moving back. So, just to kind of clarify then, why do you never remember what I choose? PlayStation Lifestyle. Here is the entire list of PSVR 2 games that have been announced, that are coming out so far. I don't know half of them, but okay. I've highlighted some of the ones that are interesting me, but After the Fall, as I said, is Left 4 Dead. Yeah, we can't really go wrong with that. Among Us VR just seems like it will be funny. Honestly, I probably won't play it because I don't like PvP all that much, but it seems like it would be very funny. Demio is D&D. So Demio is Dungeons & Dragons in VR. Yes, absolutely. Sign me up. If I could make my own maps and stuff like that, I would be much happier, but maybe that's coming down the line. Then there's a big jump. Actually, the Ghostbusters game looks decent. Horizon Call of the Mountain I've only put in just because it's a first-party title, so Sony will like put in the extra effort to make sure that's a decent experience. I want Ghostbusters VR. Yeah, it looks decent. I think it might be a fun game, all right. Madison in VR, Jesus Christ, that game is terrifying. I would not want to play that in VR. No Man's Sky, the PSVR version of it is okay. It does suffer because that game obviously has a lot of processing power or processing requirements, and the PSVR is just not up to it. So there's a lot of resolution degradation and stuff like that. A lot of pop-in. So it's hoping that the PSVR 2 can handle that a bit better, and in that case, yes, it would be amazing in VR. And the Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 7 in VR, while terrifying, is really good. So I imagine Resident Evil Village in VR will be much the same. And yes, I do want to just IRL Lady D. Hello, madam. Yeah, and like I'm kind of skipping the rest of them really. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is apparently a decent game, but I don't really like the Walking Dead IP all that much. So yeah, that price is a bit much, right? But it is kind of in line with other VR titles. So this is from iMotions, who did a breakdown of different VR headsets and how much they cost. But I'll stay away from The Exorcist VR might be an issue. All right, Melvin. I don't think I'll do that. Vom in V. It depends. Are you the possessed person, or are you trying to exorcise them? I imagine you're probably the priest. Yeah, I don't want to get vommed on in VR. Thanks very much. So going from the absolute cheapest, which is Google Cardboard, because it's really not a VR thing at all. It's just a piece of cardboard, but yeah, makes sense. All of these are all mobile VR. They are pretty much just a plastic casing with some lenses, and all of the processing power is done by your phone, more or less. So yeah, you're more or less paying for the plastic with a lot of these, so we'll skip those. Requires a game console, the Nintendo Labo. Again, it's a piece of cardboard. It's basically Google Cardboard, but Nintendo Cardboard. The original Sony PlayStation VR, $400. You could probably get that cheaper now. That's like RRP. You could probably get that cheaper now. And then moving on to PC. So the cheapest one now on PC is the Oculus Rift, which is at $400. Samsung Odyssey, $500. HTC Vive, $700. The Valve Index, $1,000. So, you know, $550/$600 symbol for money here for the PSVR 2. Yeah, like it is obviously sticker shock, yes, absolutely, and it's also more expensive than an actual PS5 that you would still need. So bundling them together, you're talking like $1,000 for the whole thing, which puts it in and around the Valve Index. On the other hand, the Valve Index would require like a beefy PC on top of that, so the Valve Index is more like $3,000. Anyway, standalone ones, which the PSVR 2 wouldn't fall into this bracket, but standalone ones if you want. Oculus Go, the Lenovo Mirage is $400, the Oculus Quest $400. Also was given an arbitrary extra $100 for no reason. HTC Vive Focus $800, and the most sorry, this isn't the most expensive one. It used to be the most expensive one. HTC Vive Pro, $1,600, but it's not the most expensive anymore. The Vario VR1 is $6,000. It's essentially putting an extremely beefy PC on your face, and then also having the form factor to fit all of that on your face, etc. Yeah, that is a stupid product. But if you have the money for it, I guess, why not? Anyway, that was kind of the bigger news for this week, but it wasn't the only news. So, Atomic Heart, which essentially looked like Soviet Bioshock, which is what a lot of people have reduced it to. This game seems like it has been coming out forever. You know, I've seen trailers and previews and features for this game for years, I think. But no, it is finally getting a release date. It is February at some point. I don't remember when. It's at the end of this trailer. It's February. I think it's the same day as the PSVR 2, actually, 22nd. I'll just skip to the end for the release date because I forget when it is. 21st. It's the day before. Okay, there you go. It looks really interesting. So we'll definitely be giving this one a shot. Also, there was a gameplay trailer for Sherlock Holmes, The Awakening, or The Awakened, rather, which is a remake of the original Sherlock Holmes, The Awakened. This was a game where it was a crossover between Sherlock Holmes and Lovecraftian mythos. So there'd be like, what's it called? Innsmouth, where, you know, like fish people and horrible Cthulhu tentacle monsters and stuff like that, but Sherlock Holmes. The way it's being positioned is this is the case that kind of turns Sherlock Holmes from a sort of arrogant playboy kind of guy, which he was in Sherlock Holmes, the first case, or the first something, the last Sherlock Holmes game anyway. This is the case that kind of puts him onto opium and puts him like very reclusive and stuff like that. This is meant to be the case that broke him, kind of thing. So yeah, Foley, why do you keep showing us these weird janky Euro detective games? Nobody else likes them. I like them, okay? So I'm gonna play them. So yeah, whenever this comes out, I'll give it a shot. And then this is kind of out of nowhere because I haven't heard of this game at all. But this is Blight Survival. It is roguelike medieval Resident Evil 4. Right? So you are stranded in no man's land between two warring armies. It's not clear if you're actually part of either of those armies. I imagine you are, but it's not clear. And there's some kind of horrible disease has sprung up in this no man's land in between the two warring factions, and has led to zombies, essentially, or infected, or, you know, whatever you want to call them, rage people. And it is roguelike survival type thing. It is co-op, although it doesn't come into it until much later in the trailer. It looks really good. I would have much rather preferred it was a single-player story-driven thing and not a roguelike co-op thing, but it still looks really good. So long as it stays co-op, I might give this a shot. If it ends up going PvP as well, it's like, no, thanks. I'll watch people play it instead. But if it stays PvE and co-op is optional, yeah. This video is actually fairly lengthy. It goes through a bunch of different gameplay scenarios, stealth segments. It's not all zombies. There are also soldiers from the different factions that you'll need to either take on and sneak around. I imagine combat is difficult with multiple opponents, so it's probably best that you don't fight them. Although, rather hilariously, they do have a guy in full plate armor being sneaky. No. all this would hear is if you dropped all of your pots and pans all at once. That's all you'd hear with him trying to sneak around like that, but okay. Skips ahead, stealth takedowns, there's some looting items you can get as well. He picks up a bow here. Finds a co-op partner. It's a co-op partner, allegedly. And then we drop into like CG scenes and stuff like that. It looks really interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see more about that. Free games on the Epic Games Store this week. Filament is a solve challenging cable-based puzzles and uncover what really happened to the crew of the Alabaster. Solve cable-based puzzles. Okay. Oh, okay. It's like a cat's cradle, break your brain kind of thing. All right, fair enough. Interesting. And Rising Storm 2 Vietnam sounds like a first-person shooter type. Yeah, 64-player multiplayer. Good. Well, nope. Snooze. Anyway, that's that. It is the start of the month, so that means monthly games. So PlayStation Plus has its monthly games. Only 2 this month for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why. Only Neo 2 and Heavenly Bodies. Normally it's 3, so that's kind of weird. But whatever it is, it's only 2 this month. Anyway, Neo 2, we've played on the channel a few times, and I do go on and on about Neo because it's very good, and you should play it. But it is essentially Dark Souls, but feudal Japan. That is doing it a massive disservice because it is really its own thing. It is much more action-focused, much more even more combat-focused than Dark Souls is. Dark Souls is very much it's honestly kind of basic in combat. You know, you only really have the couple of attacks, and it's just trying to not die in between. Whereas Nioh is, no, you don't just have one attack. You have like 500 different types of attacks. Which one do you want to use on this enemy kind of thing? So yeah, it is a bit nuts. But it's free, so give it a shot. And the other game, Heavenly Bodies, which is a funky physics thing. You are an astronaut or cosmonaut trying to perform different actions out in space, but, you know, zero gravity, and you are also an idiot, so trying to do these things is a bit weird. It's a bit like if you remember the old Flash game QWOP, where you were trying to independently move your limbs about the place. It is the same deal here. You have independent control of each arm. There's also co-op shenanigans, so you can absolutely not fulfill your tasks at all whatsoever. It's very funny, but very frustrating to play, especially if you're actually trying to play the game properly and not just mess around the place. It can get very frustrating. Not unlike QWOP. Games with Gold, Praetorians, HD Remaster, and Dead End Job. So Praetorians is a real-time strategy game set in ancient Rome. A new run of Heavenly Bodies? Yeah, why not? We'll give it a shot if you want. I'll just remember to take like a sedative before I start playing it. Where I go insane. Praetorians HD Remaster is a real-time strategy game set in ancient Rome. The Praetorians were the Emperor's Guard, like the Royal Guard. If you like real-time strategy games, yeah, sure, why not? It's free, give it a shot. Dead End Job is a legally distinct Luigi's Mansion. So it's a colorful ghost busting kind of game. Play Luigi's Mansion instead. Although it is free, so I don't know, give it a shot. Anyway, those are some of the games that are either coming up soon or are free on those monthly passes. But what if you wanted to play something new right now? Brand new game. So this is Harvestella. We played the demo recently on the the channel. It is a mishmash or a combination of farming sim, and action RPG. From my time with the demo, it kind of felt like it was half-assing both of them. Perfectly honest. From what I have heard from different previews and different reviews, there is a day one patch that actually makes substantial changes to the game. So it may be a bit more manageable, a bit more interesting now. I've also heard that if you are going into this game for the farming element, you might want to hold off or not bother, because it does seem like the main focus of the game is actually the action RPG stuff rather than the farming stuff. So yeah, a bit disappointing on that element of things. It's also fairly expensive. It's like $60. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing. I was kind of hoping the farming would be a bit more in depth or a bit more of a focus. It's entirely possible it is, and this is people who are like super gung-ho about farming sims are maybe annoyed about it. I don't know. I think I need to do a bit more research, but we'll find out. Find out at some point. The Chant is a third-person survival horror type thing, like a brand new IP. It looks really, really good. You are playing this woman who has decided to go to this kind of spiritual retreat. Her sister has been pestering her to go to it. Spiritual retreat, aka a cult. And wouldn't you know it, they accidentally summon an eldritch horror, as you do on your weekends. That's a thing people do, I guess. And apparently she was not taken over by them, or maybe it's because she's new, or she doesn't drink the Kool-Aid or something, I don't know. But yeah, she is busy now trying to survive and not die from these horrible creatures. It does seem like it has an interesting combat focus. She also has a Fus Ro Dah, apparently. Let me see that again. Is she Fus Ro Dah? Yes. She has a Skyrim Fus Ro Dah, apparently, as well. Okay. I am interested in this game just because it's a new IP in the survival horror franchise that isn't a cat and mouse survival horror type thing that a lot of games have become, like Amnesia, Outlast. That is how the series tends to be going now, whereas this is more... It's almost like a melee Resident Evil kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll give it a shot. That's the chant. The Entropy Center is legally distinct Portal. Kinda. It is a first-person puzzle game with a gun that does weird puzzle things, and there is a friendly comedic companion who may or may not be sinister. We don't know. It's not GLaDOS. They're more of a Wheatley. You know, they're kind of funny. They're there to have a good job, and they're like very upbeat and very optimistic. But they're also telling you horrible things. So you know, it's that kind of thing. The idea of the Entropy Center is the sun's about to explode, and we need to cultivate entropy so we can roll back time or something. I don't know how that works. But apparently you generate entropy by solving puzzles. I don't know. It's an extremely flimsy excuse to just solve puzzles, but there you go. It looks interesting and looks fun, so yeah, I will give that a shot when I get around to it. Ghost Song we had a look at a while ago. I think it was in the Game Awards, or it might have been like a State of Play or a Nintendo Indies thing. I think it was a Nintendo Indies thing. It's a really grim, gross Metroid, essentially. So you are stranded on this planet with a bunch of other survivors. There are horrible creatures everywhere trying to kill you. All of them are some disgusting body horror thing. Yeah, it's horrible. But I do like its aesthetic. So, that guy just slapped you and you died, so that's pretty good too. Anyway, Beasts of Marvilla possibly Island. Beasts of Marvilla Island is Pokemon Snap, kinda. It's like, think of it as free roam Pokemon Snap, or think of it as the photography sections of Beyond Good and Evil. So you are a wildlife photographer sent to Marvilla Island, and your job is to catalog the species. So you just go around taking pictures of the animals. It's possible you'll need to prompt some of them to land with, you know, feeding them or setting up the environment so that they decide to show up and that kind of thing. It's a pretty chill game. It's also fairly cheap. It's only €8, so $8, something like that. Because exchange rates on digital products, whatever. That makes sense. Anyway, it looks fun. It looks interesting, and it's pretty cheap. So I don't know. I'd probably give that a shot soon as well. And I did really like the photography sections of Beyond Good and Evil. So yeah, give that a shot. Anyway. That's all the good parts. It's now, however, time to talk about the worst part of video games. We have to do it. The video game industry. So, video game studio goes through expensive rebrand and is then immediately shut down. So this is Onoma Studio, previously known as Square Enix Montreal. So you may recall a while ago, Square Enix sold off its Western developers, or its Western studios rather. So it sold off Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, which is these guys, and Crystal Dynamics, to the Embracer Group. And we were speculating, obviously they can't still be called Square Enix Montreal because Square Enix don't own them anymore. So what are they going to change the name to? They changed their name to Onoma, but that doesn't matter because Embracer's shutting them down anyway. This affects about 200 employees. Some of the employees were reportedly offered roles at its sister company, Eidos Montreal. So they weren't all... They were offered roles. They didn't all necessarily take them up on it, and they may not have necessarily had transferable skills because Onoma was mostly a mobile developer. It was responsible for a lot of the Square Enix Go titles, Hitman Go, Tomb Raider Go, Deus Ex Go, those games. I don't think they did any console games as far as I'm aware of. So it's possible they just didn't really have the transferable skills for that kind of thing. It's also kind of shitty that they had them go through the whole effort of rebranding and then just shut them down anyway. You know, it's not great. Embracer's excuse is they're looking to scale back the scope and cost of making games, and they want to focus on the console market rather than the mobile market. So, yeah, but still kind of shitty that you bought the studio and then shut it down. You know, you did an EA. You did a speed run of EA, basically. Buy the studio, run it into the ground, and then shut it down. Not a good look. Not a good look for Embracer Group, who have, up until now, had a kind of like golden aura about them because they were rescuing languishing IP, rebooting or rebranding or remaking old IP that other game studios have been sitting on and not doing anything with, and Embracer were like, we'll come in and we'll buy them all up and make sure new entries are getting made. So they bought the THQ IP library. They've now scooped up Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, Tomb Raider, and so on, looking to make new games. Allegedly, a new Deus Ex is also in development. Though that is a rumor, which is why I'm not doing an article on it. But doing an article, I don't write these. I just talk over them. Anyway, not a good look for Embracer, though. Anyway, moving on, it's time to do the ritualistic shitting on Activision and or Blizzard. Activision nickel and dimes new union as Call of Duty enjoys $800 million weekend. So this is a news story that Raven QA have still not got the raise that every other employee at Raven has received. And the reason for it is Activision is saying, sorry bro, you joined a union, can't give you a raise until we're done with negotiations. It's the law. What they don't say is you're actually meant to negotiate and not just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, which is what Activision is doing. Obviously in an attempt to frustrate the people who have joined the union and get them to leave the union, and then, hey, if you leave the union, we'll give you a raise. That's illegal, but okay. According to developers at Raven QA, progress is almost non-existent on the first union contract at the major gaming company. Activision is denying unionized staff the raises given to all other QA testers. This is while also boasting about their $800 million opening weekend. So it's not that they don't have the money. They absolutely have the money, more than enough. We'll give them even more raises and whatever. The issue is that Activision is either ignoring or punting on all of the union's major demands, so they are not negotiating. They're meant to be negotiating a contract, and the issue is that Activision isn't. It's not negotiating, and it is using the threat of that we can't give you this raise because legally we're not allowed to unless it's part of a negotiated contract, but they're not actually negotiating the contract, so they're just putting off this raise constantly. So it's not in good faith. The union has a bunch of different demands, if you like, part of their contract. It's like guaranteed hours, guaranteed remote work, protection for reproductive health and stuff like that, and the pay increase that every other QA person has been getting. But Activision are like, lol, no. Activision either did not respond or deferred discussion of the topic until future bargaining sessions, but they just keep doing that. There is no bargaining happening. They're just saying, nah. Moving on. The Call of Duty company is still holding firm on not giving Raven QA the $20 an hour minimum pay rate because it is legally prohibited from doing so until bargaining is finished, but they have no intention of finishing bargaining. They're just going to keep pushing it along to frustrate union members. The NLRB found in October that the withholding was a violation of workers' labor rights. So they do have, the grounds for another lawsuit for Activision Blizzard. It's entirely possible they're just running out the clock until Microsoft acquire them. And then they'll go, lol, it's your problem now, Microsoft. Enjoy that. And Microsoft are, of course, much better at union busting than Activision Blizzard. So, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. The QA team said the company refused to bargain during the day unless the union paid for the missed time of workers, which it gladly did in order to attempt to get the company to bargain in good faith. But, of course, they're not doing that. So now they're having to pay for bargaining time, which, again, I'm not sure that's legal. I don't think that's legal, but okay, apparently it is. So big shock, Activision Blizzard being shitheads, But they're not done being shitheads. Activision Blizzard files motion to impound Albany union vote ballots. So Blizzard Albany, the QA team responsible for Diablo, the upcoming Diablo, won their right to vote on a union. The vote has taken place, and it's meant to be tallied, and the results will be known later this month, November 18th. But Activision Blizzard have sued to have the tabulation postponed, saying that the count should be postponed until its appeal of a previous NLRB decision in the case can be heard. Now, they might have grounds for that. If they hadn't lodged the appeal at the exact same time as this motion to impound the ballots. Activision Blizzard filed its appeal alongside the motion to impound ballots, so they did it at the same time. It wasn't a previously existing appeal. It was an appeal that happened exactly at the same time. You could reverse them, and the issue wouldn't be there, but whatever. The publisher wants the NLRB to reconsider a ruling that the Blizzard Albany QA team would be an appropriate bargaining unit. This is a thing they attempted at the Raven Software QA team. It did not work. The NLRB said no. They are a functioning unit. They are the QA team. That makes them a functioning unit. They said the exact same thing about Blizzard Albany QA, which is why the union vote was allowed to go ahead in the first place. Activision are saying, but no, though. How about have you thought about no? Maybe. I imagine the NRB will say fuck off, but whatever. The appeal is a legally allowed judicial function. Activision Blizzard is arguing that the review should be granted because the decision lacks precedent, which is not true. It does have a precedent. Raven Software QA. They had the exact same thing. Are they a collective bargaining unit? Yes. Yes, they are. There's your precedent. Go away. Once again, Activision Blizzard trying to frustrate the attempts for people to unionize in the video game industry. They then even had the gall to say, we deeply respect our employees' right to choose whether to be represented by a union. No, you clearly do not. Or we respect your right to choose, but we're still gonna fuck you over. I'm shocked again that Activision Blizzard are continuing to be shitheads. Like, yes, they are probably going to try to run out the clock here and just let Microsoft deal with this problem. But this is people's lives being held up because of this. This is unfair workplace issues. We already have the whole Activision sexual harassment lawsuit that's going through, the toxic workplace stuff, all of the stories that came out about this. This is just another wrinkle. People still work there. People still have to put up with this stuff. You know? Like, they don't want to wait for Microsoft to fix the issue. Microsoft are going to make it worse, but they don't want to wait on that. They want to, get this done, get some protection for their job, get some job security. And Activision are doing everything they can to make that not happen because they want to make $800 million in one weekend. And all of that money went to one person. Anyway, we're going to finish off with some dumb stuff. So, Sam Barlow was offered exposure to put her story in a Tesla. Now, her story is the name of the game. It's one of the sillier ideas I have heard. So, Immortality and Her Story developer Sam Barlow has said he was asked by Tesla to put his game in a car for the exposure, though. The exposure bucks. This is the same people who expect you to pay $8 for an emoji, but okay. Tesla once reached out to ask to put Her Story in a car. I asked how much they would pay for the license and to cover the engineering work. They suggested $0, that I consider the exposure I would get. How about fuck you? How about that? The Untitled Goose Game developer responded to Sam Barlow saying, same, read the goose. And Sam Barlow replied, horrific self-driving vehicle crash, police suspect mischievous goose. It's, yes, hilarious. Yeah, video games are art, but can I have it for free though? No, I can't eat exposure. I can't go down to my grocery store and, buy food with exposure books. I need actual books. Anyway. Let's put Harvestella to loop, I guess. Anyway, that was the weekly news for the 31st of October to the 6th of November 2022. Again, quiet week. Not a whole lot happening. Why aren't you playing? Here we go. Yeah, the PSVR 2, it's a pretty big price shock. I saw the number, I was like, I was all set to get that when it came out, but that's a lot of money. I'm still probably gonna do it, but I might not eat that week. I don't know. Yeah, I'm still probably gonna do it, but God, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. I don't know. I really like VR stuff, and I, I'm kind of missing out on the more impressive versions, like the PC ports and stuff like that, because my PC cannot handle PC VR. So this is kind of my best shot at doing it. So I am gonna take it, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Anyway, yeah, the games announced also are not particularly exciting. There are a lot of other PC VR games that I would hope get a port soon enough, and it would also be nice if some of the PSVR original games were ported. Like there's no mention of Super Hot, there's no mention of Beat Saber, that kind of thing. It would be nice to see those also getting added. New releases, there are actually a fair few new releases. The vibe around Harvestella is a little bit disappointing. I was kind of hoping for more of a farming sim kind of thing, because I am looking for like a casual, sit down, chill out kind of game. I am playing Dragon Quest Builders at the moment, which is kind of scratching that itch, but it rather annoyingly insists that I do combat, and I don't want to do combat. I want to build. The game is not called Dragon Quest Combat. It's called Dragon Quest Builders. I want to build. Leave me alone. No, combat. Let's fight. Like, it would be fine if the combat was actually fun, but it's not. It's really boring. Anyway, the Chant looks interesting. New IP, new survival horror IP that isn't a cat and mouse stealth thing. So yes, I will definitely give that a shot. Entropy Center, like, Portal is fun. And this is essentially Portal, so yeah, cool. Let's give that a go. Beast of Marvia Island, I'll probably just give it a look just because it's actually fairly cheap. I'll just give it, yeah, why not? I can certainly stomach $8 for a photography game. Sure, why not? No problem. And Ghost Song, I have so many side-scrolly games right now that I haven't played or haven't finished. And there's a good one coming out pretty soon, 9 Years of Shadow, that I think I'm just going to leave room for that. So Ghost Song might be put on the long finger for a little bit. PlayStation Plus games, Neo 2 and Heavenly Bodies. It's real strange they only put 2 out and not 3. It's usually 3. Weird. Anyway, Neo 2 is really good. Still haven't finished it because I'm insisting my brain will not allow me to play Neo 2 until I finish Neo, and I haven't finished Neo because Neo is very long and hard. Giggity. That's what she said, etc. And I keep putting Neo off because I want to play it on stream, but then I'm like, should I do Dark Souls first before I do Neo? And my brain is like choice paralysis. So anyway, Heavenly Bodies was I did play it on the channel. It was very frustrating. I can watch the video and laugh at it now, but I do remember playing it and going, you just do what I tell you to do. Anyway, I think it'll be funny. I think it'll be a funny game. Industry bullshit, Activision Blizzard continuing to be shitheads. Big shock there. Embracer Group showing themselves to be kind of just like all the other big publishers. It was going to happen eventually. There it is. Sam Barlow being offered exposure to put his game in a Tesla. Like, one, why would you put her story in a Tesla? That's a game that requires quite a bit of focus. And I just think putting that in a car putting any video game in a car is a huge mistake, honestly. But that in particular is a pretty big mistake. Anyway, that was the news, but what about on the channel? What happened on the channel this week? So, we have our game roadmap for the second half of the year. So if you haven't seen this before, or if you need a recap on it, these are the games that I decided I wanted to play from the start of July on to the end of December of this year. The green ticks means it has been played. Either a full LP, in the case of Vampire, Bayonetta, The Quarry, Xenoblade Chronicles, Batman Arkham Asylum, or it has been a one-shot video that I just played for a little bit and then moved on, like Midnight Fight Express, Live Alive, Thymesia, and so on. So a lot of these are just one-shots. Otherwise, I would never get all of these games done in the 6 months. The yellow dots are games that are currently in progress. So we have Resident Evil Director's Cut. It's currently in progress. We played that yesterday. We have finished Jill's run of the game, and I'm moving into Chris's. We are about a third of the way into Chris's. We've reached the guardhouse. It's going okay, despite Chris's game being much harder than Jill's. Signalis that we started on Monday, and I was intending to just be a one-shot video that I'd play for a bit and go like, yep, that's a fun game. Now to never play it ever again. But no, it's really good. So I went, yeah, let's finish this. Yes, let's play this game. Signalis is a throwback to the old survival horror games, the old Resident Evils, Silent Hills, stuff like that. It is a cyberpunk. You playing a cyborg, possibly, or a robot. It's not entirely clear. You may be entirely a full robot. I don't know. Never go full robot. Searching for somebody, your sister, a partner. It's not clear. It's somebody else, at least. You are searching for them on this station where something has gone wrong and everyone's trying to kill you now, and it may or may not be an allegory for your lost mental state and something like that, etc., etc. It's good. It's really fun, really atmospheric. I'm really enjoying it. A Plague Tale Requiem, we're playing that through on Thursday. It is still fairly new, so I don't want to give away too much of the plot. But it is a continuation of Plague Tale Innocence. It's essentially like a couple of months after the end of that game. The rats had been kept at bay, but shenanigans happen, and now the rats are back, and another part of France is falling into disrepair, and so on and so forth. It's still good. It's still a good game. Vampire the Masquerade Swansong, we've gotten a bit more information about what the hell is going on. So we played mostly as Galen, actually entirely as Galen, on Wednesday. Galen being a fairly old vampire who has been recruited to kind of clean up a big mess that has happened at a party. A bunch of vampires may or may not have been killed, and somebody left the party to try to get away. And Galen has kind of gone to track them down, found them at their apartment, found them beheaded at their apartment, actually. So all sorts of shenanigans there. Yes, it is another janky detective game, but it's vampires. Look, leave me alone. I like janky detective games, okay? I like playing them. Anyway, what's going to happen next week, though? Well, as I said, Signalis was going to be a one-shot game, but we are going to keep playing it. So I should really have had this video going while I was talking about it, but whatever. Signalis, as I said, cyberpunky survival horror throwback to the older Resident Evils and Silent Hill games. We're searching for whoever that is. They do have a name, I just forget what it is. It's fun. I'm really enjoying it. We are at a section where I can see another gun, but I don't know how to get to it. So I need to look that up before tomorrow, because I don't want to spend part of the stream trying to figure out how to get that gun. So I'm just gonna look it up how to find it. Anyway, that's Signalis. We'll have a look at that tomorrow. As usual, there'll be no stream on Tuesdays because that's when I play D&D. Wednesday, Vampire the Masquerade, Swansong, the janky detective vampire game that I've been playing and having fun with. It is very much like The Council, which is another Let's Play we did on the channel. Again, another janky detective game. It's by the same developer. It's using much of the same systems. It's really well written so far, and I'm really here for it. So I'm hoping it stays good, basically. And Plague Tale Requiem, as I said, I don't want to say too much about where we are at the game because spoilers and so on. But I've been really enjoying the sequel, and it's clear that they've been given more budget this time around, and it's probably been clear that Focus Entertainment are like, yeah, put in a lot of effort for this one, guys. This is like gonna be our big seller, so we want to make sure it turns out really good. They've done a good job so far. There have been some bugs, sure, but they haven't been like anything game breaking. There's been like rats doing weird shit. Like, it is hard to do crowd physics, crowd mechanics for that many different individuals without something going weird. And it is, for the most part, it handles itself fine. It's just every now and again the rats stack up on top of each other and do some weird shit, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. Friday, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do on Friday. But Saturday, we're going to continue Resident Evil with Chris's playthrough. So as I said, we've reached the guardhouse. So we've done the first section of the mansion, and we've made our way through the gardens, and we're now at the guardhouse, which is where you fight Plant 42 and all that kind of stuff. And then we make our way back to the mansion. Hunters show up. Probably get very pissed off in that section because I can't deal with the hunters. They always kill me. Anyway, having said that, I think the lab creatures, the Chimera, are the ones that actually killed me the most in the last time I played through the game. Friday, you can come on suffer watching me play Chicken Police. That's could probably do that. That game looks fucking weird. I am ready to be proven wrong, Melwin, that game is weird. If I'm proven wrong that it's actually a good game, that would be fine. Okay. Anyway, that is the schedule for next week or this week, depending on when you watch this video. So we're gonna have Signalis Monday 7 p.m. Part 2. Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song Part 3. Wednesday 7 p.m. Plague Tale Requiem Part 4. Thursday 7 p.m. It was weird. I did not mean to do that in order 2, 3, 4, but that's how it's happened. Friday, question marks. What could it be? Watching the Chicken Police stream, probably. I don't know. I might try to fit in a game before that. And Foley Plays Resident Evil series continues on Saturday, Resident Evil Director's Cut, where I potentially could finish Chris's game. I would like to finish Chris's game and not have like a very short stream the next week to just finish it off. Like, I would like to finish it in one go, so it might end up being a fairly long stream on Saturday. And then we'll wrap back around to the weekly news recap. So, that's our weekly news and our channel update for this week. Thanks for dropping in, Melwin. It's good. Hope you enjoyed your holiday, and now you're back to the grind. Sorry about that. What did I want to say? If you want to watch any of those videos that we played last week or previous weeks, the archive channel is youtube.com/doomtrain5. You can find all of those videos there. They go up usually the day after the stream or fairly soon after that. Have a great lunch. Thanks, Melvin. You too. If you are watching this on YouTube and you were like, hey, I'd like to jump in to the chat and give him shit for not pointing out the third game on PlayStation Plus. There was no third game. I don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't there. Take it up with Sony. Anyway, you can do that at twitch.tv/doomtrain5. Right. I'm going to head off and get ready for my lunch. You guys have a good rest of your Sunday and see you tomorrow for Signalis. Bye-bye.
Thank you.